Hello everybody, I just wanted to take a brief moment to tell you about my approaching course which starts on the 23rd of March. The long promised medical astrology course will be beginning. As with all of my other courses, there is an initial period of time where I offer a discount for early registration. So if you register between now and the 10th of January, if I can say January, you'll get a discount of 15% off either the full course registration or the trimesterly registration, dependent upon which you choose. And if you register by trimester, that discount is locked in for all future trimesters. If you're interested in the course, then you can find the link in the middle of this next video. Hello and welcome to this special edition of the Vedic Lunar Scope for the total lunar eclipse in Pushya Nakshatra, which is going to take place on the 20th into the 21st of January 2019. Now, just some clarification on that, because you may be wondering why I say the 20th and the 21st. Well, if you're in Europe or further eastwards, then this eclipse will reach its height on the 21st. If you're in the Midwest of the States or further westward, then that's going to happen on the 20th. And this lunar eclipse will be, visible for a good solid 5 hours and over most of the world. Now, there are some areas that it's not, and sorry to sound vague, but the areas that it's visible and the areas that it's not visible are too numerous to mention, so please look that information up online just by doing a quick Google search, okay? In addition to that, the exactitude of the full moon will take place at 5:15 a.m. UK time. Now, I said the full moon. The reason I said the full moon in association with the lunar eclipse is that lunar eclipses always happen on a full moon. They happen when the Earth has its shadow cast upon the moon by the sun. So you can imagine the moon over here. Here, let's move my finger back a little bit, and you can imagine the sun over here and the Earth is in the middle, and the Earth's shadow gets cast upon the moon, right, by the sun. So what does that mean energetically, right? A good way to kind of associate with this is that the moon relates to our manas, or our sensory awareness. It's how we react to things, it's how we judge things, it's how we feel about things. It relates to our subjective experience of life. So when the Earth's shadow gets cast upon that, the shadow of our existence and the experiences that we're going through tend to disrupt our ability to perceive a message that the soul is trying to transmit to us. Now, that sounds harsher than it really is, because everything that we're going through really is ultimately an experience that's meant to deepen our evolution. So even that seeming disruption is something that's very necessary in order to take us deeper into the experience of making choices, even if they're seemingly wrong choices, and moving along certain paths that tend to determine our main focus over the next 6 months, because generally eclipses tend to happen roughly every 6 months. So this is a very powerful period of time. That's hard to say. Very powerful period of time. There we go. I did it again. So it's a very powerful period of time where the choices that you make now are going to impact the next several months. But you still have to make those choices. So what is this all about, right? Well, first of all, if you want to know about what this is about in terms of your own particular horoscope, do remember that I do offer astrological services through my website. You can click on the link above in order to go to that page, and I'll give that link again at the end. So you tried the best. Now it's time to try the rest. Shall I bring in the rest? Now, you don't want the rest, do you? And, on one level, I'm not really trying to sell you on the rest, because the rest that you may need to try may not be something that you're really willing to try. And you as an individual, you have to make that ultimate decision, because in making that decision, it's going to, even if you get it wrong, it's going to at least help you to recognize that you followed your heart and that you trusted yourself. At the end of the day, there's not really a right and a wrong in this situation. There's only choices, taking actions, resolving the karma that you're dealing with, and confronting the difficulty that you're faced with. So you tried to do your best with the best option that you could come up with. And it didn't bring the desired outcome. But does that mean that you were wrong in doing so? No, not at all. Not at all. There's no guilt in really trying to do your best in a difficult situation. You wanted to avoid a specific option because you perceived that option as somehow creating more challenges and more difficulties, not just for yourself, but equally for other people. So your desire was to go, right, well, I don't want to do that because I think that that's likely going to lead in this direction. So you did your best. It didn't work out, and it kind of has your, for lack of a better way to put it, your pride shattered in pieces on the floor. And that doesn't feel comfortable. But sometimes it's a necessary process, because when our, I'm going to use a phrase that sounds really harsh, when our pride gets split open like that, then the only thing that can result out of that experience is humility, an honest assessment. And even if you're confused at the moment, you're looking at an option. And it's that option that you have been going, whatever the case, I don't want to do that. At all possible costs, I have to avoid that particular option. But at this specific moment in time, you need to at least give option Z or Z, dependent upon what nation you're from, but the very last option, that's what I mean, you need to give that option a go, or at least very serious consideration. And that's what I mean by giving it a go. I don't mean you actually have to do it, but you have to kind of consider it very deeply. You have to consider it very deeply. In considering it, what do you need to look at? Well, if you continue along the same path that you've been trying all along, well, on one level, sure, you're trying to avoid something that you don't want. You're trying to avoid something that you perceive other people don't want as well. But you have to question whether proceeding down that path is just going to prolong difficulty, whether it's going to create more suffering, whether or not it's the right thing. Okay? And so in looking at that, in going through that level of consideration, first of all, you may feel like you've failed. You haven't failed. There's no, what's the phrase I want to use? There's no cowardice in trying. There's absolutely no cowardice in trying. You gave it a try. In true noble fashion, you rose to the occasion and you gave it a go. It's not your fault that it didn't work out. You gave it your best. So there's no need to lose face, right? There's no need to feel like your dignity is shattered, even though it may feel that way right now, and you have to acknowledge that. But there's another side of nobility too. And that other noble concept is that of sacrifice. That other noble concept is that of accepting limitations. That other noble concept relates to, as I've just been saying, giving that other option a try, giving it consideration, looking at it, going over it deeply, seeing what you think that result will bring, what you think that result will bring, right? Because still, at the end of your deliberation, you still have to move with what's here. But right now, everything is so confused because you followed your heart. And now your heart feels, well, on some level like it's, eensy beensy teensy weensy broken. And that makes it very difficult for you. And then it makes you feel like, well, I can't really trust my heart, but you have no choice but to trust your heart. Your heart can never be broken. It may feel sadness, it may go through pain, but your heart will only strengthen through the experiences that you've been through, as long as you keep your heart open. And closing down your heart is like closing down your compass, right? It's like, shutting down your navigation system. So you can't really do that. Okay? So that other option is sacrifice. Going with at least considering that option that you've been avoiding all along. That option, if you think about it, at the very least, yes, it may bring initial difficulty. It may bring the concept of going, right, this is something that's just really going to turn everything upside down. It's going to create a lot of upheaval in my life. But after that initial upheaval is through, the difficulty, at least in that area of your life, will have been resolved. So you may need to make a sacrifice. Make that sacrifice in nobility, if that's the choice that you need to make, right? You've given the other options a try. Now it's time to, at the very least, consider making a sacrifice. If you could use a little bit more help understanding, well, what areas of your life may be impacted by this lunar eclipse, or, help in understanding the impact of your decisions and how to navigate your way through that, I do offer several different levels of astrological service. These are all available through the astrological services page of my website. And again, as I pointed out earlier, if you're interested in scheduling with me, you can do so through the link above. That's going to do it for this look at the total lunar eclipse in Pushya Nakshatra for the 20th into the 21st of January 2019. Until next time, please, as always, take the very best care of yourself. Bye now.